Prepper King back to you with another video on the Prepper King channel. I'm the Prepper King. So glad you could join me today. I know it's been a long time since I came out with a video, but I wanted to come out here with all the threats that are out there today. We got a rainy day here finally. It's been very, very dry, and I hate to see my water bill, but I'm glad we're getting some rain, and I'm glad you're getting some rain if you out there and need rain also. And we're talking about water. Here's my dog, and I don't know if I ever introduced him. His name is Scout. Say hi, Scouty. Scout. Anyways, good rescue puppy. I've had him for a while now. Great dog. Anyways, with the water, the rain, get your rain barrels ready. Get your rain catchments ready. Make sure you have water in your house, bottled water. Fill up some water jugs, because there is a cyber attacks in like 7 different states attacking our water systems, screwing with the codes, which is not good because you don't want to drink sewage, right? Or having too much chlorine in your water or whatever. You can only live 3 days without water, right? So if you don't have any water, especially people in the Southwest, like Arizona and Nevada and stuff, I'm talking to you, you better get ready. You better have some extra water on hand, because, when you get a wild animal trapped in a corner, be it a squirrel or be it a tiger, you get it trapped in the corner, it's going to do everything it can to retaliate, to get away, to protect itself, even revenge, as far as humans are concerned. And what happens with, in this war, which I'm not a big fan of war, I hate war. I've always said this on this channel. I'm not a war person. And I did vote for Donald Trump. I do not like this war. I'm going to let you know right now. Some of you could say buyer's remorse, but it's not with me, because the alternative was way worse. I'm a border security person. I'm an America First person. Hence the shirt, right? But I do not like this war. I know that Iran's been a thorn in our side forever, but I think there would be different ways of going about taking out their infrastructure to make a nuclear weapon without, just keep on it, just like an anthill, keep going at the anthill. Just like a Canadian thistleweed, a weed that spreads out and pops up and spreads out and pops and keeps doing it. The thorny, the ugly weed. I don't know why it's called Canadian thistle. Not anything bad about our Canadian friends, but it's a weed that's hard to get away, take out, because you can spray it all you want, it'll come back, You just got to keep plucking it and plucking it and plucking it. Wherever you see it come out of that dirt, you pluck it. And eventually it will go away. And that's what we needed to do over there. But that's water under a bridge. It's too late now. If they have something up their sleeve, they are going to use it. They are backed in the corner. They are the tiger. They are the squirrel backed into a corner. So we'll see what they have. And then, all this stuff, it was an excursion. Just an excursion. Just like this was just a 2-week deal. War is never just an excursion. It has repercussions. It's not like a little country like Grenada. This is a country that's almost the size of the continental United States. Not quite, but almost there. So it's a huge place. And as far as infrastructure is concerned, once you get to a point where you start targeting your enemy's infrastructure, they're going to target your infrastructure. And that's when you are a prepper, you should be ready for it. Especially you young families out there. I'm old. I don't care if I kick the bucket tomorrow, really. I don't. I live life. But people are out there, and you need to get ready for it. If you're younger, even if you're older, if you want to keep going, make sure that your preps are in order. As far as today, I went out because they're targeting water infrastructure. I went out and made sure that my rain barrels in order, my Berkey water filters ready to go, my water jugs are all filled, topped off, and they're not skanky, and make sure that they're good water in there. Always remember 30 gallons, 40 gallons of water in your hot water tank. And people don't know that, that you got fresh water. If you got a 30-gallon reserve in your house right now, that little spigot there. So that's what I did. And I shouldn't have to wait till something like this happens where they're targeting and they target our state. They could change the codes. Change the codes. You have the different levels of chlorine to ratios of sewage. And what you are having is bad water, and it could kill you. So, you got to be aware of these things because you can only live 3 days without water, folks. So who says if we start attacking their electrical grid, they won't attack our electrical grid? And that's why I felt it very crucial for me to come on and put the red flag up and red alert out there about this because, some of us get complacent. I'm just guilty of that as anybody else. I get complacent. I have to live life. I have to run a business. I live life still. And you can get very complacent and not be ready. And that's the time that you are least likely to think something's going to happen. That's when it happens. So you need to get ready for it. With this thing that's going on with the cyber attack, and that's the world we live in today. Wars will be fought with drones and robots and drones and all this other stuff and androids, this and all kinds of stuff, cyber-wise android, as far as cyber attacks and, taking out stuff over the interwebs. And it's too bad that it gets to that point. The internet made stuff a lot simpler, made it a lot easier for taking care of files, but it has its drawbacks, especially with, if I talk about the certain letters, 2 letters, I get knocked down on this channel, so I am not going to do that. But, and the first letter is A, by the way. So, that's another thing, there's all this stuff, it's just, how do you, I go about it, whereas I come on this channel to talk to you about it. That's where my release is, to warn people, to tell them to get ready, because the future hopefully looks brighter, but there's an 80% chance something major is going to happen, and it's going to happen pretty soon. And the only way to get through it is being a prepared person, because people that aren't prepared, they're not going to make it through it. You see what's happening in the world today. These people today don't even realize that what a vegetable looks like when it's growing in the ground. I have a garden I have in the city. I plant different stuff in the city because I have a business there, and I'll plant different stuff around. I got some zucchinis growing and different stuff, and squash and stuff like that, and tomatoes and stuff. And nothing ever gets stolen because they don't know what it looks like. They just think it's a weed growing. They think that vegetables and food come from the back of the store. So those people you got to be very aware of, but make sure your preps are in order, because if something happens with this tiger or squirrel that's stuck in that corner, and they'll use look at how they're still using missiles. I know we got no more Navy, no more Air Force, no more of this, no more of that, and they're still shooting off missiles. Where are they coming from? Because they've been waiting for this thing. They are prepared for this, and there's no way that we're going to get out of this thing unless they put soldiers out. And, once you put the soldiers out there, this is going to be a real unpopular thing. But it might not even get to that, because if they could attack our infrastructure and take us out as far as infrastructure is concerned, the cyber attack on our electric grid, and they're already targeting our water supply, and the only way, what if they do shut down our water supply? What would happen there? It just, the scenario on that is just catastrophic. Fresh water. Like I said, you only get 3 days you can live without water. Only 3 days. That's not very long. And then you don't want to be dying of thirst after the first day. You know, that's not worse than that. So be prepared. Tell your family to be prepared. That's why you come to this channel. Because I think you're in a preparedness community. You need to relay this to other people that you know. I am the Prepper King. Thanks for joining me and my dog, Scout. Say hi, Scouty. Oh boy, you're just full of activity today. You just went for a long walk. You know, I go for 2 miles. That's another thing. Get out there and exercise. Take a walk every day. Breathe that fresh air. And hopefully it's not the Canadian wildfire smoke, but breathe the fresh air. Peace to you, peace to your family, and rock on.